In our devotional today, we're going to ask the question, can we really change? That is a question I hear from many couples in marriage counseling. Maybe for some of you are sitting here choosing this devotional today because your marriage is in trouble. And maybe the question you both have for yourself is, can either of us really change? Is there really a chance that we could turn this marriage around? Or are we so far gone that there's nothing more we can do? Have you stopped communicating? Has there been a major event maybe that's stolen the trust that you once had for one another? Perhaps as you're listening to this, you're contemplating a separation or divorce because you're just sick of the drama. You're sick of the never-ending cycle that you guys go through and you never seem to be able to pull yourself out of. And the question really is, can we really change? Is there a chance that we can change? Well, here's the short answer. Absolutely. With the right heart and an understanding of how God can help, any marriage can be saved. And I really want you guys to hear me say that today, that this really is a devotional of hope, that there is no marriage out there that is so far gone that it can't be saved if you come with the right heart. And if you come with the understanding that if you're a believer in Jesus, that God helps us in our ability to overcome the things within ourselves, but also to overcome the things that are happening, that have happened to us, or the things that have happened in the marriage that have maybe really wounded you. I want to bring you to first where God helps us from Romans 8, verses 9 through 11. Here's what it says. You, however, are controlled not by the sinful nature, but by the Spirit. If the Spirit of God lives in you, and if anyone doesn't have the Spirit of Christ, he does not belong to Christ. But if Christ is in you, your body is dead because of sin, yet your spirit is alive because of righteousness. Now, verse 11 is really important. And if the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through his Spirit who lives in you. Now, in verse 11 especially, we see a very powerful statement there. If the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead, the miracle of miracles, right? That God raised Jesus from the dead. That same power, the Holy Spirit that he puts in our hearts when we give our hearts to him, when we give our confession of faith, the power of the Holy Spirit lives in our hearts. So what that means is there's an amazing power that lives within each and every one of us. In Ezekiel, it says that the Spirit moves us to want to follow God's decrees. That the Spirit living in your heart can change you because God can lead you in the way you should go. You can surrender to the Spirit. You see there in that in the verses there of Romans chapter 8, this idea that there's two things, that we can either be controlled by our sinful nature or we can be controlled by the Spirit. And so the short answer here, the hope that God gives us is the Holy Spirit can help us. So let's go back to the question, can we really change? Yes, with the Holy Spirit, we have the power to overcome. That amazing power of how Christ was raised from the dead is in each and every one of us. So we can fight against the obstacles in our marriage. We can fight against addiction. We can fight against selfishness and anger. We can fight against broken trust with the power of the Holy Spirit. The next thing that you need, the next ingredient that's so important in really being able to make a change is choosing humility. To recognize you played a part in the failures in your marriage. No matter what your spouse has done, you have played your part in the things that have gone wrong. So receive that. Think about that. Be teachable and ready to work. That's such an important piece to this too. When your marriage is in trouble, it's not going to just fix itself. You need to be teachable and recognize the things that you need to do to come towards your spouse and to be ready and committed to doing the hard work. And the last important thing to do, if you really want to see change in your marriage, is to seek help. Find a professional counselor, find a mentoring couple, but an outside perspective is always beneficial for us because we can always learn something new. And maybe the way someone else says it, it's going to come at you in a different way than if your spouse said it. So take a few minutes, answer these questions. Really be honest with yourself, be honest with one another, and show that you have a heart that really is committed to change. And see how that doesn't strengthen a marriage and takes it from a place that's going in a direction that seems defeated to one of strength, opportunity, and hope.